Charlie McConnell, the number 2 seed, is going to bowl first. He is facing Max Sanders. Charlie McConnell is 35 and hails from Massachusetts. Max Sanders is from Taylor, South Carolina.
Charlie McConnell has been very, very consistent in that he's probably the straightest bowler we have, maybe in the field. And the woman, Stacey Manley, who won the women's part, he's the most direct player. And he's done very well as far as getting to the hole and carry.
Okay, embellish those terms for us. Straightest.
Yes, he doesn't cover any boards in the heads. He goes, it's more from the outside angle up to the pocket. You're not going away from the pocket. And sometimes that's good to go away from the pocket and have the big hook coming in, and sometimes it's better to play the oil line and go right up against it and straight up the boards. Now, I would say Max Sanders is more a medium hook. He gets a lot of revs on it. Hard rotation, a lot of revs. Doesn't cover a lot of boards, but he really hits hard up through the ball. His only time I've ever seen him in trouble during the match play is when he pulled the ball. Now here you see him starting, holding the ball down. His left foot is turned sideways, and then it comes straight when he steps out. Classic 5-step approach. You see his offhand go back and him really drive up through the back end of the ball. Good body position.
Max Sanders is 28 years old. He has bowled a 300 before. His high 3-set series is 788. 2 in a row.
That shot there, we just saw the 6-pin just tomahawk the 7. It just comes right on top of it. I saw him do that a lot during the week. He throws it very hard. The pins go straight back. Either straight back or on top of each other. Hard hitting ball.
Although he's from North Dartmouth, Massachusetts, he currently is residing in North White Plains, New York. This is kind of an East Coast matchup. The winner of this will face Steve Plompkin for the trip to the World Cup Finals.
He's got a classic 4-step approach. Starts far up, lets the ball down, then he bends over at the waist in order to get his backswing up. But you see him keep his head down and really drive up through the ball. In fact, his back foot comes completely off the floor when he drives up through it with his arm. Really gets hard up through the back of the ball. You see both men start in similar hand positions with the wrist cupped really hard under the ball, holding it straight down.
This is interesting, having the men and the women on the same telecast, because this is a family sport. You can really see the contrast in style.
He gets the ball out onto the lane. Now, both these bowlers loft the ball a bit, which is good when you want to hold the oil line. It can become a problem in that if you overturn or over-rotate it with your thumb. But both these bowlers are very good at staying behind the ball.
Well, this has been nothing but strikes from these gentlemen, nothing short of perfection. The men's competition was so close. Listen to these averages. Number 5 seed, 222 average. Number 4 in the stepladder, 222. Then we move up to Max Sanders, a number 3 at 223 average after 28 games. Charlie McConnell, 224, just 1 pin difference in the average. And the number 1 seed's average is 225.
That's the closest I've seen.
A chink in the armor.
Keep his head down, and he really zips this one. Now, he tends to, I think he pulled it a little bit through his shoulder, which caused him to over-rotate and get around it with his thumb. When you watch his follow-through, his palm was actually facing the floor.
That converts nicely in the 4th frame. This is a non-professional event, the World Cup. The pros are not eligible. There's our scoreboard. Max Sanders with the spare in the fourth. Now Charlie McConnell working with the turkey. It's interesting to note that the women, all on their first shot, have the very stiff wrist with the wrist guard.
Correct.
And the men opt not.
No, the men usually have more forearm strength, more wrist strength naturally, and usually more upper body strength, and as a general rule. And the men always like to start cupped. The women you want to be cupped, but the trick with that is you want to be cupped at the point of release. It does no good to start cupped if you're going to uncup it during the approach. So that's fine to start cupped as long as you stay cupped. And you watch for that in their backswing and watch when they come out of the release. That's what gives rotation. Now you watch him, he seeds his fingers and he's got no grips because he does loft the ball. He wouldn't want more loft, which would be what grips would create. Now he sits it back on his thumb, almost like a palm ball. The only thing you got to be careful of when you cup it that much is to stay loose in your shoulder.
So that's 5 for McConnell, creating a 21-pin deficit for Max Sanders. Although with a name like McConnell, this could be Mac against Mac.
He does almost the same release. Sets it, cups underneath the ball. Now, the difference there between Charlie and Mac is when Mac released that, he rotated his fingers around it rather than up the back of it. And he has to, the only thing that Mac has to be careful of is that he doesn't get his elbow around it as well. If he keeps his elbow around it and rotates his wrist, that's one thing. But if you get around it with your elbow, then it's the half 10.
Converting nicely on spares in both the fourth and fifth frame, but his opponent has 5 strikes.
I noticed that both these bowlers are taking a deep breath. They're not in a hurry. A lot of amateur bowlers seem to be in a rush and a hurry to get it over with. Both these bowlers seem to be just taking their time, trying to make good shots.
What a break. Yes. All right, we're going to step aside, but on the way out the door, we're going to show you how the rest of the women's field fared here at this national tournament.
Last shot. He really gets around it well. He goes up high and gets this incredible break, the 4-7-10 falling out. Mac is a very aggressive player. This is the first time I've seen him bowl. It's been this week, and he's extremely aggressive, but Charlie McConnell's right on him. He's throwing every bit as aggressive as Mac.
Charlie McConnell with 5 perfect shots. If that continues, he's eligible for a $1,000 bonus from AMF. Yes. The trend continues. That's 6 in a row for Charlie McConnell. $32-pin advantage.
You know, it's interesting watching people bowl under pressure. Some people tend to get slow with their ball speed, and some people tend to throw it harder and speed up. And I noticed both of these bowlers, being, you know, not that much experience under television and stuff, seem to be go ahead and make the adjustment. If your tendency is to throw harder, go ahead and make that. People ask me, well, should I adjust for a fault? I said, yeah, because nobody's perfect. You got to go ahead and adjust. And I think both of these bowlers gone ahead and moved out a little bit and kept their speed up. They tend to throw harder under the pressure.
You notice that all of the women, and so far all of the men, and of course we know that Steve Klomkin is also a righty.
Yes.
And we happen to have you here as a lefty. How do you feel about that?
Well, I saw some good left-handers in the field. They just said it was a little bit tighter. They didn't get as much movement because there wasn't as many in the finals, but they felt that it was an equal and fair shot.
Oh, my, there's number 7. Now, is this the first shot, the second shot, the third shot, the fourth shot?
It looks identical to me, and he's really staying behind the ball well, which is how you kick out, use that 6-pin to kick out the 10.
Let's ask our producer, George Smith, if what shot that was. Oh, he said that was the 7th. All right. You hit it out.
Now, remember earlier I remarked that his tendency is to go high under pressure, and I think that time was a good front-on shot, and you could see him wrap the ball a little bit. It was up behind his right shoulder. The ball was up around, and so when it's that far back behind you, unless you really clear your hips well, you've got nothing else to do except to wrap the ball and get around it a little bit with your elbow, and it causes the ball to go high.
I personally would feel demoralized, but you're a professional. What's it like to have someone throw 7 right at you?
Not much you can do. You're trying, just what he did there. He went ahead and converted his spare, and he didn't really lose count because he was on a strike, and you just get right back up and say, okay, start striking again. Anything can happen. Anything can happen in these one-game matches. He could, you know, your opponent can get up in Greek church, and you're back in the match.
Do you sit down and wish that? Greek church.
You know, you always want to win. I don't necessarily want to wish anybody the worst, but...
Oh, come on now.
Oh, go ahead and wish him the worst.
Max Sanders knowing it's just not his day. He's high as you anticipated. He is staying up there.
Now, Mac knows he needed that one to have any chance at all, and the tendency there is like when he's under pressure is for him to go a little bit high. And he's got a terrific game. He's done well.
The highest game that Charlie McConnell has bowled in this tournament is 268. He virtually has this sewn up.
You see him basically doing the same thing, his setup every time. You repeat your setup every time. It's part of any professional sport, is you want to do the same thing so that you can repeat your shots. He wipes the ball off, wipes the towel, takes a breath, blows in the thumb hole, seeds his fingers. He does the same routine.
But then the difference between him and the guy at the local bowling center who's watching this on TV is what he does at this point. The setup is the same, but
then how he gets to the foul line.
And how he knocks him down. So blowing in the thumb holes doesn't guarantee you a strike, but it seems to be working for Charlie McConnell.
Okay, you see him go a little bit light. Now you see the ball deflect, but it just does catch the 5-pin. Another wall shot for him. Great shot. He's keeping the ball in play. That's what's nice about keeping it very direct. We talked earlier about Charlie here and Stacy Manley keeping it very direct in the heads and kind of going up and at him, which is from the outside up to the pocket rather than crossing boards. And it's very effective, as people can see.
All right, now let me put you in Charlie McConnell's shoes. You've thrown 8 in a row. What's he feeling inside after 8 perfect shots?
Well, he's just hoping for any kind of a chance here, any kind of a break to get himself back in the match.
All right, that was for Max Sanders. McConnell now has done 9 in a row. I mean, his heart's got to be thumping.
He's pumping. He probably isn't aware exactly of what he could receive for a 300 game.
But still knowing you're doing it on national TV.
And terrific, and knowing it's going to be his highest game of the tournament, and he's doing it on TV. Hasn't had a TV experience before. Now he really gets that one out there. He really does loft it, but when he lofts it, he stays behind it. don't think he wanted that, do you?
Well, that clinched the match for him. He has eliminated Max Sanders. But now the drama is, can Charlie McConnell bowl the perfect game? Second time in a row, he's left the 3-6-9 combination up there with the 10. 4 pins standing in the 8th, 4 pins standing in the 9th. They converted in the last frame. And converts now.
He's giving himself some difficult spare practice here. Well, at this point, you're just, you know, wanting to feel appreciative. You've got the experience on television, and he's got to feel like he had a good week. It's disappointing always to lose, but he's going to shoot 2+, and...
You know, unfortunately, the folks at home are seeing him lose, but he did an awful lot of winning to get to the number 3 spot. An awful lot of winning, coming up through his local center, coming up through the regionals, making it here to the nationals, climbing through the field to finish 3rd, and maintaining a 223 average for 28 games. That is absolutely nothing to sneeze at. He's just having an off moment, and he's certainly up against a guy who's just really in the groove. Charlie McConnell, perfect through 9 frames. Well, now he seems to have settled down. For those of you just joining us,
I'm impressed, Leandra, how well the bowlers have handled the pressure. You know, a lot of people talk about the amateurs not having the television experience.
Yes.
I don't notice any difference. I mean, they look like they've had plenty of experience. They've been executing, taking their time.
yes, nobody seems flustered.
No.
A 217 final figure for Max Sanders. So the man from Taylor, South Carolina is retired. And now all eyes are on Charlie McConnell, not so much for the victory, but can he bowl a perfect game? And that $1,000 bonus comes from the AMF bowling centers, not from Dana Miller Mackey, like some of you might have thought.
Yeah, he's
Smart man. Settle down, come back. He can just you could just see it in his face. It was tightening up. He's not going for a re-rack. He's coming back to start his ritual again, to settle down.
That was a very good, good move. Very good composure. A lot of people would not come back, take the time to come back on a 9-bagger.
You got it. Wow. "17 seconds he spent on that approach." That's
He is by far, I think Dick Weber mentioned that he was by far the slowest in taking his time.
That's all right. It adds to the drama.
Yes, and obviously it's working.
Now watch this week. All the bowling centers will see all of the matches take a lot longer as everybody imitates the 17-second approach. Yes! Oh! One away. And Steve Mackey, our tournament coordinator here, has got his checkbook out for AMF. Making sure he's got ink in the pen. And this is it.
Leandra, we don't know if he's got a 300. He didn't put it down on his bio sheet.
Yeah, he only put down his highest game in this tournament, which was 268. exceeded that. He did it! He did it! Charlie McConnell, a perfect game. What a way to start out this national tournament final here on Prime.
What a shot. Perfect, perfect shot.
Wow! What a shot by Charlie McConnell. What a bunch of shots by Charlie McConnell. We'll talk to him when we come back. Charlie McConnell defeats Max Sanders 300 to 217. For Charlie McConnell, it was the 6th time in his career that he's bowled 300. But let's go to a man who's no stranger to the 300 game, our own Dick Weber.
Charlie McConnell, a beautiful 300 game, just fantastic. Couldn't be more perfect than what you were. How do you feel out there?
I feel great. I can't explain it. It's
I've just never seen such composure on the seat. I know you talk to yourself, you settle yourself down, and this is the first time on TV. Fantastic.
Thanks a lot. I just got a job to do, and I go out and do it, and hopefully I can do it again. One match to go.
All right, let's take a look at the last shot and see what happens here. See if you really do get that 300. You want to describe that a little bit?
Well, I got it in. It just held. Don't know what else to say. Maybe I just didn't catch it enough, but that's good, because I probably would have gone high if I did.
All right, very good. There's 10 pins in the pit as we see it goes. Is this your first 300, or how many have you had in your career?
I've had 5 before this one.
Five 300s before this one. Oh, this is the most important. Now you got a tough match up here coming up with Steve Conklin, and see what happens there. Are you nervous about this one?
No, I'm comfortable and relaxed.
I would think so. If bowling 300, sure. Back to you, Leiranda.
Thank you, Dick. It is Steve Klomkin, the #1 seed, against Charlie McConnell. Is it big pressure for Steve Klomkin to see a man bowl 300, or has Charlie McConnell pretty much shot his wad? We'll have to see. Stay with us. A championship match ahead.